Hi there, good morning. This is the Tung Nath trek. I started from Chopta down there. It will be maybe an hour's hike back down. This is at about 12,000 feet or 3,700 meters. Looking across, as you can see, at the beautiful snow-covered high peaks of the Himalayas, looking north here towards Tibet, China, and east to Nepal. I've been in the Himalayas for the past week, but in the foothills, I was searching for the Himalayan views, which were obscured by smoke from forest fires that was just blanketing this entire region of Uttarakhand state here in northern India. I decided to give this trek a try based on recommendations from some of my viewers, and I lucked out in that last night it rained. I arrived at Chopta in the afternoon and decided to wait and do this trek in the morning, and got clearer views of the mountains there on my way hiking up. I made another video about the trek up here. Hello. So I'm headed back down the hill, down the mountain. I don't know where I'm going yet today. I'm trying to decide. There are a lot of places to go. The Kedarnath temple looks incredible, but it doesn't open until May 6th. Today is May 1st, so that is 5 days away, and you can't do the trek until the temple is open. There is Joshimat, which I've been to before, on the way to the Valley of Flowers, and the Badrinath temple, but that temple also opens around, I think, May 6th. And as you can see, it is looking cloudier out that way. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet today. I might just keep on going downhill back towards Rishikesh and relax there. I have a room where my backpack and all my stuff is down at the bottom here, so I will be thinking about that as I do this walk back down the mountain. So this video is a travel story about my experience 2 days ago traveling from Bageshwar here in the Himalayas, but down in a valley a ways east of here, trying to get up to Joshimat, which didn't happen because of the complications that I ran into. I didn't film that day, so I thought that I would tell the story. It is a pretty wild one. So I started this whole Himalayan journey a week ago in Nainital. Spent a few days there and then headed north in this general direction. Ended up stopping in Bageshwar there and stayed there for a couple of nights. Interesting little town down in a valley, but everything was just totally, smoked out. You could barely see the close ridges, and so things were looking very bad for getting some Himalayan views. So I decided to head in this direction over here and see how things were. So I get up in the morning. It is 3.5 hours to Karnaprayag and about 6 hours to Joshimat, which I'm hoping that I might be able to make it to. I get all packed up, get out onto the road, go to the bus station, and there is a bus that is going to this other town like 35-40 minutes away of Bajnath, and then from there then I'll have to change and get another bus heading towards Karnaprayag. So I get on the bus and am wondering when it's actually going to take off. I ask a guy, he says 10 o'clock. I look at my clock, it is 9:35, and so I'm sitting there waiting, and then I see the bus right next to me starting up. The driver gets in and starts it up, and it kind of starts to move, and I'm wondering, is that one going left or right. If it's going right, it's going towards Munsiari or somewhere, and that's the opposite direction. If it is going left, there's only one way to go, in which case that will also be going to the Bajnath. And so I hop out of the bus and jump over to the other one, ask them, are they going to Bajnath? And they say yes. So I grab my backpack and get on that bus, and it starts going right away. And so things seem to be off onto a decent start. So we get to Bajnath. It is just kind of this junction, not much there, but it is kind of the main route going in this direction towards Karnaprayag and Joshimat and this part of the Himalayas. So I'm thinking that there will be a bus coming soon, but no. Standing there waiting, there's various vehicles going by, but they are all private vehicles, so no like shared jeeps, which is one of the main ways to get around here. There are trucks, but no buses. There's a guy standing around who offers a taxi ride to a place down the road, I think called Gualdam, which is only like 45 minutes away. He asked me a few times, I'm like, nah, no thanks, wait for a bus. And then time passes, so I decide to ask him, how much is this taxi ride gonna cost? He says 1,000 rupees. That is $13, so not a whole lot of money for a 45-minute taxi ride. And so I keep on waiting, hoping the bus will come along, because of course the bus will be much, much cheaper. But it's not happening, and I want to make some progress. And so finally I decide to go ahead with the taxi ride. He seems to be telling me if I get there, then there will be more buses from there, and I can get on my way. So I hop in the taxi, and we're about to get going, and then he's pointing at the front seat and saying something to me, and I realize that he is asking me if it's okay if somebody else rides in the front seat. And so I'm like, well, okay, I'm sitting in the back because I'm not planning to film, and I just want to like chillax back there, more room. And so I'm like, well, okay, one other person. And so some other guy comes over and gets in the car there. We get going, driving along. After like 20 minutes or something, then we pull over at these ladies on the side of the road there, and then another lady gets in the back seat next to me. And at that point I'm like, I'm not paying 1,000 rupees for this shared taxi ride that was supposed to be a private taxi ride. That is just a total, massive ripoff at that point. But I had agreed to the 1,000 rupees, and I know that he is not going to be happy about me not paying the full amount. And so I decided that I'm going to pay him 500 rupees. That is like $7, $6.50, something like that. So not a lot, but that is still way overpriced for a shared taxi ride for that distance. But I'm just like, okay, I agreed to this. I'll just go with the 500 rupees. It's not a big deal. It's $6. But I know that it is going to be an issue once I actually give him the money and he realizes he is not getting 1,000 rupees. He is not going to be happy about that, because 500 rupees in real like buying power in India is about like $50. $6 or $7 US. You can get like $50 worth of stuff here. So that is a significant reduction in his
Oh man.
Hey there. Almost there, man. That's the top right there. But I'm not ripping him off, he's ripping me off. And so 500 rupees is more fair, at least. And so we get to Gualdam. I get out with my backpack and hand him the 500 rupees. Even though he doesn't speak any English, then I make it clear this is all that I'm paying you. And he protests. It turns into an argument, not like a screaming match, but definite voices raised, and I'm saying, three people in the taxi. This is not private taxi, no way, 1,000 rupees. There is a line of like snack stalls right there where we are. I'm kind of making a little more noise than necessary, making a little bit of a hubbub about it, because I figure that way he will kind of back down, because he's really not on, solid ground to protest when it was supposed to be a private taxi ride, and then he puts two people additionally in the car. He can't go to somebody else, you know, nobody's going to sympathize with him. Oh, poor you that he didn't pay you the 1,000 rupees. And so he's like acting like he's not even going to take the money, and I basically just throw it on the seat and then walk out of there. Now, there are these shared Jeeps around, the Mahindra, like Jeep-like vehicles that they drive, that are very common for the shared taxis around here. The roads are very rough, and so those are essential for a lot of the roads around here. But I ask around and nobody is going to, you know, Karnaprayag and various destinations east. There's not really many people around at all. It's a little bit strange, and so I decide to just like walk down the road a little ways through town and take a seat and wait for hopefully a bus to come along, which I much prefer to sit in anyways, less cramped and less hassle as far as the whole situation of haggling and, you know, arguing about the prices. So up here is the Tungnath temple. I will show it really quick. It is a temple devoted to the Hindu god Shiva. You have to take your shoes off to get up next to it, so I think I will just keep on walking. So that is one of the most disgusting toilets I have ever seen, to the extent that I decided not to use it. Now, that segues perfectly into the next part of the story, which is that as I was walking along there, then I figured I should probably take a whiz before getting in another vehicle, because it was going to be another 2-hour drive to get to Karnaprayag, and then from there hopefully get up to Joshimath. So I'm walking along, almost nobody around. Now the way that the Indians do it is they just kind of take a pee wherever. But I prefer a little more discretion than that. And so the highest mountains are all covered up now. Really glad that I got a very early start, around 6:30 or so this morning. There are a lot more people on the trek now. So I'm walking along and I pass a car and decide to step behind the car and take a whiz there. I am just unbuckling my belt when I hear a vehicle coming along that starts to slow down, and then I hear it stop right behind me, and I'm like, this better not be that guy from the taxi. And sure enough it is. I like turn around and he's there, and he like opens the door and he starts talking to me, like not yelling or anything, but clearly asking for the money. And so I buckle up and then just keep on walking down the road, just ignore him. And I think he started driving and drove past me, and then I never saw him again, luckily. I go a little further, find a better spot to take a pee, and then I'm near some little snack shops, and I ask them, like, how long do you think it might be until a bus or a Jeep or whatever comes along? And they say, oh, maybe 1 hour, so it's gonna be a while. So I stand there, wait for a while, and after like 45 minutes or so, then a little teeny tiny minivan comes along that is going to Tarali, which is another like 45 minutes down the road. Now, chances are, after getting dropped there, I'm just gonna get a ride with somebody who is going past the same point anyways, but might as well, you know, make some progress, and you never know, maybe there's some, you know, junction there, or a vehicle that starts from there and I catch a ride at that point. Either way, I'm ready just to, you know, make some progress. And so I hop in that vehicle and we head for Tarali, and then we're like 5 kilometers away from Tarali, looking on my phone on the map, and he like points at some houses on the hill and says, my home, my home. he's going there. He isn't going quite all the way to Torali. And so he drops me off at this just total middle of nowhere junction. But, you know, it's the main road and any vehicles coming along will be passing by me.
And where are you from?
America.
America. Oh, nice. So how did you like that?
The trek?
Yeah, the trek.
Really good.
And the temple ahead.
Yeah, so cool.
That was so cool.
Have you done it before? Or?
No, it's our first time.
First time, yeah, me too.
As we stay in India still,
Yeah.
we haven't first time.
Yeah, very good.
It's your also first time?
First time on this trek, yeah.
Okay, great
Yeah,
man.
it's really cool.
Nice to meet you.
You can see the tops up there, so yeah, 20 minutes or something, getting close.
Okay, did you went to Chandrashila?
That's the top, yes.
Top, after the Tungnath temple.
Yes, exactly, the very, very top. Yeah, it's
Okay,
worth it, you gotta do that.
How much kilometers? Almost one?
From here, yeah, maybe one and a half. The temple is just other side of this here.
Okay.
10 minutes,
Okay.
10, 15 minutes, and then 1 more kilometer, yeah.
Thanks man, nice
Yeah,
to meet you.
enjoy. So the driver of the minivan is really nice and honest. He drops me off and it's only 30 rupees. So that kind of gives you an idea of the actual fare prices for about the same distance as the one that I ended up paying 500 for. Of course, you're going to pay more for a private taxi because it isn't stopping. It's going to be quicker. It is presumably a nicer ride. You're not, you know, crammed in there like sardines with a bunch of other people. You have the luxury. So I wait there for another 30 minutes or so, and then a Jeep Mahindra comes along, shared taxi Jeep, and pulls over. The driver speaks pretty good English. He's like this cool young guy. And he is going to, I think, actually past Karnaprayag, but I want to go to Karnaprayag, so he'll get me all the way there. It is like another 2 hours or so to get there. And so I get in without confirming the price. Now I want to talk about that a little bit because obviously it's a good idea when in doubt to confirm the price beforehand. There are various reasons why I don't always necessarily do that, and they are that first of all, most of these guys with the shared taxis tend to be quite honest. In my experience, previously going from Nainital to Bageshwar, I took like 3 shared taxi rides and they were all like 100 to 150 rupees, something like that. You know, that's like $1.50, $2. If they do try to rip you off, it's still not going to be very much, and so it's not a really big deal if the real price is, you know, 80 rupees and they try to charge you 200 or 300. Then you can argue with them at that point. But I realized that one of the reasons I might not necessarily confirm the price beforehand is because the overcharging is an issue. And this was like a subconscious thing that I was thinking about afterwards. One of the reasons why I might not necessarily bring it up at the time is that if there's going to be an argument, haggling, etc., over the price, it might be better to have that after the fact instead of before the ride, especially if he majorly tries to rip you off. And then you make it an issue, of course, and haggle it down, then you might be sort of in a situation where you've exposed him as basically being a, you know, rip-off scam artist of trying to rip you off. And then you have to sit in the vehicle with a guy who might have some resentment towards you for the fact that you, even though you did the right thing and called him out on his, you know, BS for trying to take advantage of you, then you're sitting in the vehicle for possibly hours with a guy who, you know, is going to be kind of annoyed at you. And so that was like a little thing that I realized. That's sort of one reason why I would almost rather have that conversation, especially if it's going to get kind of contentious at the end when you're like, here's the money, goodbye, get out of there. And then you don't have to deal with, you know, that awkward situation. Of course, if it's going to be like an especially long, all day trip, definitely want to confirm it then. If it's a private taxi, definitely want to confirm it then. If it is these shared vehicles, then at the end of the day, at the end of the ride, then it's not going to be like a huge situation in which you're going to, be ripped off by very much. And you're still in control of how much you're going to pay them anyways. So I get in that vehicle and we take off. Man, oh man, this trail is getting busy. And so we get going. The guy is like friendly, but I'm getting kind of a scammy cool guy vibe from him. And so he's like shouting some questions back at me. I'm stuffed in the back. And at one point he asked me, how much did you pay for the ride that got you to where I picked you up? And I told him 30 rupees. The only reason that he would have asked me that question is that he was gauging me for how much he could possibly rip me off for this ride. And so I'm thinking, here we go again, another situation at the end of this one.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
You are making vlogs?
I'm vlogging, yeah.
Oh, great. What's your blog channel name?
Gabriel Traveler.
Oh, great. And
Gabriel
you are from?
America.
America?
Yeah.
Great.
And you?
I'm from India, but I do work for American Center, US Embassy.
You work for the US Embassy?
Yes.
Where, like in Delhi or?
Yes, in Delhi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Like what kind of work? Like office kind of desk
we
work?
drive their entrepreneurship and innovation vision in entire 5 countries, including India. You heard about Nexus?
The e-visa, you mean?
Not only EVs, all the sectors, startups basically.
Oh, you mean visas for companies?
Yes, startups.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You know about American Center, right?
American Center?
Yeah.
No.
So in India, we do have American Center. We host many courses or maybe, American culture, American English classes, business classes, British business classes and all in American Center for Indians.
You mean in the United States?
Here in Delhi.
To encourage
Yes.
some companies to come to
share the
India?
cultures.
I see.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Bye.
Enjoy the hike.
See you.
And so this Jeep ride turns into a rough one. It definitely takes longer than 2 hours to get to Karnaprayag. In fact, in total, the 3.5 hour journey ended up taking more than 6 from Bageshwar. There's tons of construction. It's one of these kind of roads on a cliff with a big steep drop off, narrow road. We got another vlogger here. Or talking to a friend, I guess. It's a narrow road, much of it is gravel. You're having to pass these trucks. You get in these situations where you have to, back up and let the truck or whatever pass and then keep on going. All of these construction sites along it. No stops, no points where we had to stop and wait for construction, but just slow traffic through these areas. And I am starting to realize that I might not be able to make it to Joshimat today as this ride drags on and drags on. So glad that I got up early for this trek. Everything is different now. Clouds totally covering the mountains. So many people. It is going to be just a crowd at the top up there. A lot of people out and about. It is a good time for getting into the Himalayas, other than the smoke situation, but weather-wise, it's nice and warm here May 1st. To the temple is maybe 2 more kilometers.
Okay.
And then the top is 1 more kilometer after that.
Okay.
Something like that.
Is it very steep?
It's all just like this, just like steady uphill. So it's pretty intense, but it's worth it once you get up there. Enjoy. Have a good one. So finally, we arrive in Karnaprayag. Prayag means confluence of 2 rivers. And so there's 2 rivers that come together right there, which then flow into the Ganges, the Ganga. And that is where the road goes up to Joshimat. Now, it would have been conceivable still to get it right up there. It's about 2.5 to 3 hours further. But it is getting super dark. It is getting very cloudy. It's like a mixture of clouds and smoke. It's this really surreal scene as we come into the town because there are fires on some of the hills, like I guess the same fires that are causing the smoke. They're like right near buildings, not huge fires, but just, you know, these fires just burning randomly, nobody around. And then simultaneously, it is getting super dark and there is lightning, like pretty regular lightning strikes happening. And I'm also just totally frazzled at that point, mentally, emotionally, physically, from those Jeep rides, bouncing around, especially when you're, you know, on a seat, the back seat, 2 seats facing each other. So you're kind of at an angle and stopping all the time, people getting in, people getting out, getting like more crowded and bouncing around and having to hold on with not much to hold on to. And so, especially with the storm, and it looks like it's going to start to rain, then I realize it doesn't make sense to attempt to get up there and possibly be in, you know, storming conditions on this road. It's going to be the same situation. Lots of gravel, rocks, narrow, etc. It's going up into the Himalayas. So I decide to stay there for the night and figure out what I'm doing, you know, for the next day. And I walk into town. Interesting little town there. I started a video there. This was day before yesterday. I asked somebody a good hotel, and so they recommend this one, Krishna Hotel, Krishna Palace. And so I walk over there and they have a room. Looks pretty decent at first. And then I get all checked in and then check the mattress, and it is just absolutely as hard as a rock. Like, it looks new.
Hello.
Howdy.
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Oh yeah. But it is so uncomfortable. Like, it's uncomfortable to sit on. I'm sitting on it using my computer, and it's just like a table. And I'm like, man, after a day like this, I'm gonna have to sleep on this mattress. And then eventually, finally, I like put my hand over on the other side of the mattress and realize it's 2 mattresses with 1 sheet over it, and the other mattress is nice and soft. And so that was such a relief to know that I could at least sleep on a decent mattress for the night. And then there are some other issues with the room. The like water keeps running in the sink. I have to turn off the main thing for the water. No towel or soap or toilet paper, as opposed to my like amazing room that I had in Bageshwar that had everything, a fridge, towels, amazing balcony view. But anyways, the room's gonna do the trick for the night, especially with the decent mattress. And so I settle in, and I'm just glad to be off the road and able to chillax and regain my strength and determination to keep on going another day, which is what happens in the next video that I recorded that I already posted from yesterday, getting up here. And so now I have to make up my mind. Am I heading back down or heading further up into the mountains? I think that I've decided to head for Rishikesh. I could probably get there today. After a week in the Himalayas and a lot of these very intense Jeep and bus rides, then I think I don't want to go further. Another day of these crazy roads, which takes me farther from getting back eventually. And at least I got my Himalaya Mountains experience today. Also, because it is looking very clouded over out there, there's no guarantee I go all that way that I'm going to get the mountain views anyways. So We'll see, but that's how I'm feeling at the moment. So I forgot to mention what happened when I got to Karnaprayag, which is that the guy did indeed try to rip me off. So we pull up and stop, and it is just starting to rain, and the rain starts to increase. He is busy dealing with the other passengers, and so I step under this overhang to get out of the rain and wait for him to finish up there. And so he says, give me 500 rupees. Now, I had already decided I was going to give him 200. 200 rupees is $2.60. But that was probably overpaying a little bit. Keeping in mind that the ride to Tarali had been 30 rupees. This was like 2.5 to 3 times the distance, but it was also in a Jeep rather than the minivan. Probably the Jeeps charge a little more, you know, it's like a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So maybe 150 would have been the right price. I figured 200 was at least definitely covering it, if a little bit over. And I had a 200 rupee note, and so, you know, ideally you want to have your exact change, especially if you get the sense they're a scammer, so you can just give it to them and not expect them to give change. And I am just like over the BS at that point. I'm just like, dude, I know the prices. I'm not paying you 500. I give him the 200. Actually, once again, he's acting like he doesn't want to accept the money. This is a tactic, you know, that they use to guilt trip you into acting like the amount that you're giving them is an insult. Like, how dare you only pay me this much, even though it's more than the real price. And so once again, I just like tossed the money on the seat next to him and took off. So that is just part of the deal. As a foreigner, then some people are going to try to take advantage of you. You got to be mentally prepared for dealing with it one way or another. But at least if you're getting ripped off, it's not for very much. If the real price was 150 and I paid him 200, I paid like 65 cents extra or something like that. It's not a big deal. So I'm not worried about every little rupee. Okay, we are almost back to the beginning. Here's a little explanation of things. I guess that is the peak where I started the video. Chandrashila, 4,000 meters. That's actually higher. The 3,700 was probably the temple, and the peak is higher. So that's more than 12,000. That's getting close to 13,000 feet. That's like the elevation of the Annapurna base camp about. Wild. Okay, I'm going to finish this video here, and this might be the last of the Himalayas. We'll see what I decide, but either way, you'll find out in the next video where I end up. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Safe travels.